Hey YouTube land, Tyconders there doing another action figure review. Now this is a multi-figure review of pretty much the same character. So I picked up a few more of the Hiya Toys Robocop figure line. So before I proceed, I just need to say that these reviews are intended for collectors over the age of 13, just to abide by the COPA and FTC rules. And even on the boxes, as you can see in the corner here, they are for 15 plus anyway. So these are not aimed at kids, these are aimed at the adult collector. So what these are they're 3 3/4 inch Robocop articulated figures. I have reviewed Robocop 2 figures in the past, and I have 3 figures to review today. 2 of which are from the same movie, and the other one is from the original first movie. So we got Robocop from Robocop 1, Robocop 3 with the flight pack, and then Robocop 3 battle damaged. So you can see the packaging in the background. If I just bring in the boxes for the previous ones, it's the exact same style packaging. So you have a cardboard box with a window display, and then the figure is on an actual normal style clamshell. This is the one for the Robocop 2, the Kick Me edition, which was a special San Diego exclusive for 2020, but it was sold through Big Bad Toy Store because of the whole COVID thing and not being able to get people physically going to San Diego Comic Con. And the other one I reviewed is the Robocop 2 figure, which is the standard Robocop 2 from kind of the start of the movie. I will bring them in as well throughout this review for comparison. Now just bear in mind this may be a fairly long-winded review because there is a few things to get through. So before I get on to the figures, now I do have them on their display stand, but they're not pegged in, so that happens. They do come with display stands similar to the other ones. Now unfortunately I can't find where I put the display stands for the first 2 figures, but if I recall correctly, one of them they look identical to the ones that came with this. So for the battle damage Robocop 3, you have the Robocop 3 logo. You have the image of the figure on the box. When you flip around to the back of the box, it shows an image from the movie. I think it's the scene where it bursts out of the top of the police car. And if I take out the box inside, you have just images of the same figure again, and the same image from Robocop 3, where he's like, I think he shoots his way out through the roof of the car and stands up. And then again, as I said, the figures are on a clamshell, so unfortunately, just if you want to open these, prepared that they will be more than likely damaged unless you have a way of cutting them open without damaging them. But just be wary of that. It would have been nice if Hiya Toys had used those collector's packaging that would, have the plastic slip case so that you can actually slide the figure out. Moving on to Robocop 3 with the flight pack. It's the exact same deal. You have all the legalese stuff. It's exquisite mini. There's no write-up for Robocop. He doesn't really need a write-up. He's part man, part machine, and all cop. So I know people frowned upon the Robocop 3 movie. It wasn't the best one, although it did introduce a kind of few interesting things. Again, picture of him with the flight pack on the back of the box, on the insert box. It did introduce some cool stuff, namely of note the flight pack and that grenade arm that's on the figure. I know I was hoping they might have done it as a swappable arm like some of the other companies have done in the past. There was a few companies like Toy Island, they did there were more 5-point articulated versions of Robo, and his cannon arm was a swappable arm. Unfortunately, they didn't seem to go that route. And then this is the box for Robocop 1. Again, it's the original Robocop logo. Again, on the back of the box, images of the figure. And for the top, it shows the scene where he's walking into the OCP headquarters near the end of the movie. The movie's been around since the 80s, so I don't think spoilers for those who haven't seen the movie is, noteworthy. But if you notice, if I bring in the actual box part again, bear with me when I get it back in to the box. This image is a little bit bigger. You can see the busted legs of an ED209. Hiya Toys are working on an ED209 in scale to this. I think they had pre-orders for it already on Big Bad Toy Store. I know there was pre-orders for one ED209 figure. I'm not sure if it was from these or was the kind of 118 or sorry, the 112 scale model kit one. I had it pre-ordered, but due to budget reasonings and the fact that I picked up the NECA one, I cancelled the pre-order. But onto the figures, because that is what you want to see. So, for the display stands first, get them out of the way. As I said, I got the same two display stands with the other figures, the Kick Me one and the Robocop 2. One of them had this kind of rail, embedded rail on them. Kind of looks like a, what would you call it? Not monorail, like a tram rail kind of system on it. And then the other one is just this kind of broken up floorboard or kind of street sidewalk type thing. So there's a slight variation between the two. If I had all 5, you could connect them all together. Unfortunately, they do connect with these kind of H pegs. You get 2 with each figure. I didn't take the ones out of Robocop 1's box because I have enough to connect the 3 bases together. But if you have other bases from the other figure lines, like the Alien ones and the Predators, they will fit together as well. They use the same small base peg system. Even the bigger figures like Crusher, the Alien Colonial Marines Crusher, it had 4 of those grid bases to make a big large space for it, so you can connect them all together and have a base. But that's getting off topic for the bases. So accessory wise, all the figures come with alternate hands. Now I'm not going to swap out the alternate hands on screen because to really do them properly, you need to heat up the figure, and I don't have anything with me to heat up the figures. But for the main accessory on the Robocop 3 with Flight Pack, you get obviously the Flight Pack, which just be wary when you do get it. These are folded up inside. There are on little pegs, so just be wary that they might come off. There's an actual metal hinge on this as well. I don't know if that is a ball peg. It looks like it should be a ball peg, but it doesn't give that much wiggle room on it. But it does fit over the figure. You can fit it over any of the Hiya Toys Robocops because they all use the same basic sculpt. So it will fit over him nicely. You can sort of get it onto his arm if you just manipulate it enough. There is an indent, so it will sit on his arm. Unfortunately, bear with me a moment. I don't think this is broken. I just think it's loose and it tends to pop out. I haven't pushed it in all the way. There, that should hold it. It fell off when I was bringing them over to my review station, so I think it's just a little bit loose, but it does fit on the figure. This one doesn't really fit on too well because there's a bulk of sculpting on the actual grenade launcher arm or the alternate weapon arm, but it does kind of sit on it. It looks more like it was designed with the regular hand in mind, even though in the movie he used, I think he has this by the end of the movie, this thing is a permanent attachment. But they never made a 4. They did a reboot, and there's talks about them doing another reboot. So there was never a Robocop 4. It was probably penned and scripted, but because of the poor reception of Robocop 3, it didn't get the green light. So the detail on this is not too bad. It has, I'm not sure if they're bullet holes. I don't think they are. I think they're just indents on it. But you have rivet holes on this. Very nicely detailed. You have piping, hosing. It's a nice silver. There is the red paint apps on it. You have the vents on the bottom. It's very nicely done. For even just as a display piece, I think it looks really cool. Now, the one thing I thought about this, I haven't seen a movie in quite a while, but I always thought these vent pieces went to the bottom of the figure. Even if I flip the, actually I don't have the box out, but looking at the box, they they do show them on top. Always thought these went to the bottom, these little vents, to give them extra thrust. Because I remember in, again, Toy Island did kind of figures for Robocop 3. They were pretty much static figures. Well, not static, there were 5 points of articulation, 4 in some cases, because they had electronics that you press a button on their center chest and it'd make sounds. Actually, I think there were more, I think they were just a little bit over the 5 points. I think they had 6 because they actually, some of them had knee joints. I think the flight one had the knee joints on it. Some didn't, but they did come with these, which would clip onto the side of the arms, and I could have sworn these were shown as being underneath. But again, I could be wrong. It's been a while since I watched the movie. But overall, he is pretty sweet. I will get into articulation in a little bit, because these all have the same articulation, with one minor exception for the Robocop trees. So all the Robocop trees also come with a alternate hand, so you don't have to be stuck with the open hand with his default Tech 9 machine pistol. The hand is on a peg. Again, as I said, I won't be swapping it out on the screen. It is the same accessory that came with the other Robocops that I have. They have a very similar either closed fist or open fist on the actual main figure. And they basically have a very nicely sculpted Tech 9. So I just bring in the Tech 9 itself. It's very small, so you can see the detail on it. It's pretty much screen accurate. The only difference is none of the Robocops have the ability to open the side of the leg for them to stick it in. Now, the one exception on this wave is obviously Robocop 1. He comes with an alternate hand, which has the data spike. This is the one thing that was omitted from the Robocop 2 version. So, in theory, I have pretty much every iteration of Robocop, unless I get like there's battle damage versions of 1 and 2 as far as I'm aware. Where the accessory for Robocop 2 was this, which was Kane's brain in the little jar thing that he comes with a grip hand. So there's slight variations. So for articulation, I'll give a run over on basically Robocop 1. So his head is on a ball joint, so you get some good range side to side, forward and back. Can look down with the hinge on the waist as well, but just a standard looking down, not too much. Can look up, but not pretty reasonable, not amazing. You can rotate the head on the neck. It does have a hinge on the arm. There is a slight butterfly hinge as well on the inside, but it's quite stiff on some of mine. It is a bit easier on this one. You can see it kind of moves because there's a little bit of extra movement, but on most of them they're fairly stiff. So I would advise maybe heating up the joints, maybe a dip in hot water just before moving them. He does have a slight double hinge elbow. So he has a normal hinge that will bring the hand to 90 degrees, or if you do it with the double hinge, bear with me a moment, you can get it just a little over. So it's kind of weird. You can hinge it down. There is supposed to be a swivel here. On all of the ones I have, it seems to be really tight, but I think someone on the comments for my Robocop 2 and reviews said these should swivel to the side. I haven't managed to be able to do it on any of them without forcing it, and I don't want to force them too much. I'll probably need to heat them up just to get to do it. He does have a dual body hinge, so he has one just here on the just below the chest, and then he has one at the waist. His legs don't have the greatest range of movement, which is fair enough because of the design of the figure and the design of the character. He has a thigh swivel which is hidden. He can go forward and back on the legs. They can't really kick out much to the side. You can't do the splits with him, obviously, because of the way he was designed. I mean, the suit, if I remember correctly, the suit in the movie weighed about, I think it was like 10 pounds or something like that. And I remember, like, in the original movie, the actor said it was very restrictive. He couldn't get much movement out of it, which is, again, similar to what the toy can do. He does have the working piston on the back of the leg on all the figures, and he has a swivel and a hinge on the ankle. He has a single jointed knee, and again, I don't think there's a swivel in it, so he is a little bit hindered in his movement. He does have swivel wrists, which are on ball pegs, so you can get slight side to side on it and up and down. Nothing in the wrist where the gauntlet attaches to the arm, and as I said, he has those shoulders with the hinges, so you can get some up and down, and there is a slight forward and back with the butterfly joint on them. So overall, he is quite articulated for a Robocop figure, compared to the fact that we haven't really had any other Robocop figures other than, I think, Reaction did a few Robocops, and they were just 5-point of articulation, so there is that. So switching on to the Robocop true figure, again, all the same articulation points, waist, head, everything like that. This is the battle damage one, so you can see it has a black kind of wash over it, has some scarring and scuffing on him. Now, the main exception is he has the, I think it's called the grenade launcher arm, or the missile launcher arm. It's basically his left arm attachment. It was something new they tried in the movie. It's like, it reminds me a bit of that ridiculous gun from, was it Beverly Hills Cop 2 or 3? Whichever one it was. I think it's 3 actually, the one where your man's selling like the gun that has a microwave and all this kind of interesting weird stuff in it. It kind of reminds me of this. So it's like a grenade launcher, a missile launcher, machine gun, and a flamethrower, if I remember correctly in the movie. So this is kind of from the scene where he gets is it petrol or oil, some sort of oil thrown on him, and he's basically set on fire, and he's all scuffed and smoke damage and stuff like that. So it's pretty much from that scene. Again, same articulation, legs, everything, the ball joints in the feet, the hinges. He does stand not too bad. The one with the flight pack stand is not too bad either, even though he has the flight pack on him. He's a slight bit top heavy, so you might have to hinge him forward a bit, but he does stand pretty well. I know this review has been going on quite a bit. I'm trying to watch the time. So for the comparison with the other figures, here is Robocop 2. This is the Kick Me edition. As you can see, it has Kick Me written on his back. So if I just bring them in, and then this is the standard Robocop 2, the kind of more movie, the standard movie style version. So you can get the same poses out of this one. So just to show us the color variation, this guy's way more silver. This one has more bluish tint to him with kind of green and purple on him. This guy's more just like a purple silver, as he was in the movie. And then for a size comparison, I'll have to move things back because I have it, and I did show it off with the other figures, and I'll bring it in just quickly. Actually, I have two things to bring in. Here is the old Kenner 8209 with those Robocops. He's a good bit bigger than him. I'd say he's a bit out of scale at this stage, but he doesn't look too bad. Unfortunately, you can't see him at the back there. But what I want to bring in is this. This is the old Toy Island, I believe. Does it say on the bottom? I think this was Toy Island. This was the made for the TV series Robocop Police Interceptor. The Detroit Police Interceptor. You can fit Robo into this quite nicely. Door does open. Robocop can actually get into a slight seated position, and you can get him into the police car. I do hope maybe Hiya Toys might consider doing a police car for these. I know they don't tend to do vehicles. I think the only people that have only company that are doing like their own 1 to 18 scale stuff doing vehicles at the moment is Joy Toy. They do all those kind of really cool military stuff. So overall, he's a really cool figure. And then, these are really cool figures. I do recommend picking them up, but just be wary. They are for adults. They're more for the adult collector than kids. So like, do be careful with them. I have seen people kind of complaining that, oh, this broke out of the box, that broke out of the box. Just be wary that sometimes you need to heat things up when they come and get the best out of them. And then just for a size comparison of Robo next to a 1 to 18 scale figure, or 3 3/4 inch figure. This is one of the mercenaries from the Jurassic World line. And then for a G.I. Joe, which are slightly taller than the 4-inch scale, here he is next to a custom figure I made out of an old crankcase, because he used this line off to the side, and you can see Robocop is a little slight bit around the same size as a 4-inch figure, which means he should be a bit taller if he was in scale to the 4-inch figures, but he's more in scale to the 3 3/4 inch. So there you go, guys. I know this video went on a bit longer than I anticipated, but I do hope you enjoyed this video. As I say in my videos, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. I hope you enjoyed this review of all the Robocops that I have so far. Cheers!